we're going to do some quick introductions, a quick overview of FAST. We're going to play a little game. In fact, we might do the game, and then I might go more into FAST. If there's time, we can go into, I can tell you a bit about Premier Blue Cross. That's where I work now in Seattle, Washington, where we're doing FAST. So kind of an experience report, and then questions. So yeah, let's. This is good. So Charles, introduce yourself. Yes. Yeah. So my background, software developer, and back in 2002, made the move to Agile software development, and really kind of fell in love with it then, and promised myself I'm only ever going to work in Agile environments ever again, never going to go back. And so I stayed true to that. So in that time, I went from development manager to contractor, consultant, product owner, back to Agile coach. So right now I'm an Agile coach. During this time as an Agile coach, I was at the Scrum Gathering conference in New Orleans back in 2014. And it was during the Scrum Gathering, the third day of the Scrum Gathering was an open space event. And that's becoming more and more common now. So the first 2 days was conventional conference, and the third day was an open space event. So I'd been to open space before. I was familiar with how it worked, but I was sitting there just watching the event unfold. And there was 800 people at this particular conference. And I'm just sitting back, watching we got to the end of the marketplace portion. And if you haven't seen open space, don't worry, because the exercise we're going to do is very closely related to open space, so you'll get the concepts. So at the end of the marketplace, which is part of the open space event, I'm looking at the wall. I'm like, wow, in 20 minutes, we've organized 800 people. I went, what a fantastic tool. In 20 minutes, we organized 800 people. How many other via self-organization? That's truly remarkable. To organize 800 people in 20 minutes is remarkable, but the fact that we did it via self-organization is even more remarkable. And I think it happens because of self-organization. And so my big aha was, why don't we use this as a way for organizing people around work? Because the whole thing of like Agile at scale is, how do you organize a lot of people around work? And that was my aha moment. Like, wow, what a great idea. Why don't we use open space as a way to organize people around work? Why don't we use this as an Agile scaling method? So that was the seed of an idea. But of course, to make that work requires some more work. So I couldn't let go of the idea though. I kept thinking about it and building on it. And then by the next year, 2015, I actually locked myself in a hotel room, put a website together, and then presented it at a conference. And that was the birth of Fast Agile. That's when I gave it its name. It's an acronym. It stands for, so A is Agile, S is scaling, T is technology. So Agile scaling technology. The AST doesn't sound very interesting. So, but what could I put in front of that? Right? Hey, let's make it fast. So the F stands for fast. So, which the software developers like it because it becomes recursive, right? So that's how it got its name. So it's Fast Agile Scaling Technology. And it's described as FAST is a system for organic collaboration on creative endeavors from the small scale to the large. But that's a mouthful. The other way is, it's a way of organizing people around work using open space. So that one people remember much better. But essentially, it is a system for collaboration, as Scrum is, and you can use it in place of Scrum, or you can use it in place of SAFe or less. It's another competitor in that kind of environment. But it is, you can use it, one unique aspect of it is you can use it from small Scrum-sized teams, and it can actually expand out. So that's a little bit about what it is, but we'll go into more depth shortly. But that was the birth of the idea. My clicker is falling asleep. I should have. Yeah. Yeah. Like, did we really need another agile scaling framework? Like, okay. But well, the fact is that we have so many. It means we're still searching, right? And it's good because this is how disruption happens. Is that we keep experimenting, right? This is why 9 out of 10 startups fail, because you keep experimenting. So all of the other agile scaling frameworks will fail and one is left behind, right? That's why, well, maybe, but this is kind of good. So that's why we have yet another agile scaling framework. But this is different because this is the first agile scaling framework that differentiates itself because it's based on a network instead of teams. And we'll go into that in a little while. Do you want to, we can do the exercise now? Let's, or I can describe a bit more. Let's vote. You want to do a vote? So I can tell you how a bit more the in-depth of how fast works, and then do the exercise. Yeah. All right. Because then that might make more sense. All right. So I'm gonna play it out because it's a little hard to describe. Can you hit the letter B? Cool. So I'm a product owner, and in FAST we call it a product director. And the reason we call it a product director is because I wanted the analogy more of, it's kind of more than the product owner, because the analogy is like being a movie director. So you're directing a film. You're kind of setting the vision and the direction for a tribe. So now imagine you guys are my tribe. Or we started with 3 Scrum teams. We put all of those 3 Scrum teams together. They're now the tribe. So there's our tribe. So you're my tribe. I'm the product director. So as a product director, I'll have over here on the wall, I'll have a story map. You guys familiar with story mapping? Yeah, from Jeff Patton. So I'll have a story map, which is how I've chosen to represent my backlog. So here's a story map. And I'll say, hey guys, you guys are great. I love the progress that I'm seeing. There's some really exciting stuff that's coming up. We're getting Microsoft are coming in to look at how we're doing stuff. We're going to be talking about delivering something for them, and that's a new feature that we've put up there. So my highest priorities are: I really need someone to look at that. Can we keep the progress moving in and the other thing, right? And I'm really firing the tribe up. And then, so from there, we now go into something that looks a lot like open space, where in open space, someone gets up and says, hey, here's what I'm interested in talking about in this conference. So, but what happens in FAST is what's your name? Alberto. Alberto says, hey, I'm interested in starting on that new feature that Microsoft are after. So you get up and you might pick it up off here, and you say, I'm going to be working on this. I'm going to be over in room number 1. And then someone else says, yeah, let's use this as an example. 2 colors. Yeah. There we go. So here's, you can imagine my story map over here. Alberto, and then Eva says, oh, I was working on feature number 2. I'm going to be carrying on with feature number 2. I'm going to be over in room number 2. This is whiteboard compatible? Yeah. Always check first. Yeah, I've learned, that's why I check. No. So we've got room 1, room 2, and then someone else with the blue suit, Luis, says, I left a bunch of tech debt behind. We've got to do some refactoring. So I'm going to be doing some refactoring. Now, Luis didn't pick anything up from the wall, from the backlog, but he's doing something that needs doing. So that's what what Luis says. So at this point, you three guys are taking natural leadership, kind of taking ownership, and what we call a swarm steward at this point, or a story steward. So as a story steward, you're saying, hey, I'm willing to lead, so like open space, you're willing to facilitate a session. So I'm willing to facilitate a team to work on these things in this upcoming iteration. So your name will be on there. And then we say, go. So other than Luis and Alberto and Eva, other than these guys, you guys are looking at this wall going, what should I work on? And then, so you decide which of those three things you want to work on, and you come up and you put your name, you know. And there's something somewhere here too. So Joao puts his name up, and I'll use some easy names, Bob and Jim and Joe. Easy for me anyway. So we put on the names up. We get 8 people over here. We get 2 people here, and we get 12 people here. And there's our tribe. So they've self-organized into where they're going to work. Now there's a reason why you might want to go in one or another one of those. One is because I've been working with Ava on this feature for a while, and I just want to see it through. So that's why I chose to work on this one. Joe has been working so long on the back end that he really wants to learn some more about the front end. And this story here gives him a chance to learn more about some front end stuff. So that's why he went over here. And what did we have? We had Ava and we had Luis. Luis is this coding guru that I just want to learn from Luis. Like I've heard he runs these classes on OO excellence, and I want to see what that looks like. Do we have any devs here? Developers? No? One? Hey. Yeah. All right. So yeah, you want to see how Luis's OO guru experience. So that's why you want to go there. So there's different reasons why you'll go to different teams. But the rule is do the right thing. So do the right thing, which means do the right thing by the release, do the right thing by the company. So that's overarching all of this. Hey, where should I be putting my effort? So don't go skipping around. If like, hey, I'm not going to leave someone on their own. Right? So this is the right thing. So there's different reasons why we do that. But now, so this is how we self-organize around work. At this point, we go. And now these 12 people, they all meet together over in room B. These people meet here. We've got 2 here. We've got 8 here. With 12 people, so now you go and you have a stand-up. You go, hey, there's 12 of us. What are we going to do? Well, look at what we're doing here. And then you come up with a plan. You go, well, I think we can split this into 2 parallel streams. These are the kind of tasks we could work on. You know what? Why don't we do some mob programming and some pair programming? So my background is extreme programming. Big fan of pair programming. Anyone know mob programming from Woody Zool? Yeah. Well, anyway, so mob programming is where you can have more people working together. And we do a lot of that at Primera right now too. So maybe that's how you've decided to split the work up. So you come up with a plan, and then you work through that iteration. How long is the iteration? I mean, because that's going to be part of the plan. At Primera right now, we're doing 2-day iterations, and I'll talk a little bit about why 2 days. So I was looking for how small can we make it? Because one of the principles of the Agile manifesto is, what's the one about releasing software with we try to find the shortest period? Like from 2 weeks to 2 months with a preference to the shortest period. I'm like, well, how short could we get to? I thought, what about 2 days? And so we started experimenting with 2 days, and we got it working. And then we went, oh, this is actually pretty hard. Let's go to 1 week. So then we went to 1 week, and everyone went, yeah, we prefer 2 days. Let's go back to 2 days. So we're back at 2 days. So 2 days actually works pretty well. So yeah, that's what you're saying. What value, with 12 people, what value can I deliver against this in 2 days? So these things here aren't stories. We call them value items. And you don't know if 2 people are going to show up or 12 people. So if 12 people show up, hey, there's enough work. Or if there isn't, so we get done in half a day, what do? You do the right thing. So hey, let's go grab something else from the backlog. Let's start work on this one. We put it up here. So it's kind of an organic way of working. So at the end of that 2 days, we're now going to close out the iteration. So we close out the iteration with a meeting called show and tell. So at show and tell, these 3 people, or it may be someone else that was working in there, but someone from these swarms is going to come up to the front and say, all right, here's what my team did. We were working on this. In fact, we got a really neat demo. Here's the demo, and we'll show it up here. This team said, yeah, we got some progress done. I don't have anything to demo, but essentially this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. Components, we cleaned up the code, right? It looks way better. And then this team will say, yep, not only did we get this done, we actually started on something else. We didn't get that other thing done, but this is where we got to on that one. And here's the demo for this one. So at this point, what we're aiming to do is maintain a shared consciousness between the tribe. So everyone is in sync with the current state of the system, right? So everyone sees what everyone else is doing. And we try and keep that as quick and short as possible. So don't go too in depth with your demos. It's a very high level demo just to kind of keep everyone in sync. The product director is there watching it and going, yeah, good work. And that's show and tell. At that point, we finished the iteration. So that all of that took 2 days, in this example. So you don't have to do 2 days. It works with other length of iteration, but we did 2 days. So as soon as we finish that iteration, while we're all gathered together, we go, hey, let's start the next iteration. So we wipe this, we take all this off. Maybe some of it goes. So the iteration ends and begins in the same meeting. So in Fast Agile, there's only one meeting. It's called the fast meeting. We try and keep it fast. We're trying to stay with that theme here. We try and keep it fast and short. But that's it. That's the meeting. We start an iteration. We go to work. We end the iteration. We go straight back into the next iteration. That's the short version of Fast Agile. You've probably got a gazillion questions at this point. What happens when no one shows up? What happens with, and so we'll get to all of those questions. Hold all of your questions. Maybe we'll do a couple questions because we want everyone for the exercise. Well, we'll wait for someone to come back. So let's do a couple quick questions. Yeah.
Well, I'm also. Let's just have a story there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody cares to pick it up.
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
Never happened. So the question was, if you didn't hear it, what happens when there's a story, the unwanted story that nobody wants to work on? That's a good question. So remember, one of our values is do the right thing. So hopefully people do the right thing and pick it up. But let's say that people still aren't doing the right thing. Now, correct. Which one's more right than, you're right. Good. So let's say this thing is sitting here, and product director says, hey, can we push this to live yet? That feature we saw yesterday. And they're like, no, we can't do that yet. I'm like, why not? Well, we need to do that thing there. I'm like, well, okay, that's my highest priority. So this iteration, that thing there, I need that done because I want to push this thing to live. Great. And then we go into the marketplace, and lo and behold, it's still there. Right? Now, hopefully it isn't, because I said that's what I wanted. But at this point, the product director goes, the product director has some veto ability. So do you understand what I mean by that? Is that veto? Do you use that word? Yeah. So we're trying to move away from command and control and go to self-organization. But the product director has some ability for command and control, and this is the point when she might be able to use that. And she says, so we get to this point where we've got the swarm stewards have put their names up, and so before everyone has gone and signed up, at this point the product director goes, whoa, hey, I said this was my highest priority. No one's picked it up yet. Who wants to pick this one up? Bueller. Oh, good, Bueller, you want to do it. So let's take this one off, and this one needs to go up. So that's how it can happen. So ideally, it shouldn't, because people should be doing the right thing. The other, there is another aspect to it, in that this here is a feature. And these things under here are value items that need doing towards completing this feature. And when we create a new feature, because people are able to move around, we need someone to stay with that feature all the way through to make sure there's some consistency. So that person we call a feature steward. So the feature steward is kind of there making sure that, hey, I really need some help getting this thing over the finish line. Let's get this story in place. So that's essentially, does that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really valuable from Agile is like these guys where you can speak on that, where you can learn from mistakes or whatever. Just
Yeah.
a retrospective or whatever.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
That maybe YouTube is a shorter version of Fast. I don't know if there's some space where you can stop, pause for a little bit, and say, guys, in this iteration, we have one, no one pick it up, the most important story or whatever. So
when do we reflect? So that's a really good question, because when I was putting this together, as you know, you look at the Agile Manifesto, it says at regular times the team come and reflect, and I was thinking, well, how would this work in a tribe that keeps changing teams? Like, where would you do a retrospective? Do you do it at the end of each iteration? But then, what if this team here, like, what is their, how does their retrospective here and theirs here and theirs here, how do their retrospectives relate to each other, and how does that benefit the tribe? So, or how do we do a tribe-wide retrospective? But what would that look like? Because the theoretical maximum size of a tribe in FAST is 150 people, right? I haven't worked with that big, and we can talk about. Do you recognize the number? Dunbar's number, right? And we can talk about what that might look like. The largest I've worked with is 50, but even at 50 people, like, how do you do a retrospective with 50 people? Do you do a retrospective? It's an excellent question. What would you do? Yeah, for 2 days. Yeah.
For 80 people, we spend.
Yeah.
Like almost 1 week or something like that.
Yeah. So for 80 people a week. So it's a challenge, and it's a question that I thought about. So we've tried a couple of things at Primera where we're working. One thing we did is we created a guild called the FAST Guild. So essentially, if you want to change the the framework or add to it, show up to the FAST Guild and say, hey, why don't we try this? Or I think we should change that. And so that's a place where we reflect just on the process. Guild from Spotify. Yeah. So yeah, we borrowed the guild concept from Spotify. So that's one thing we did. But even then, it's still not. There's still things that aren't getting discussed. So we came up with the experiment of, hey, why don't we pause at some point and do a 3-hour open space session with the entire tribe. So we used open space as a way for retrospective. So we said, okay, it's an open space. There's the rules of open space. I've got them up on the wall there. And this follows traditional open space now. This isn't fast agile, which is like a spin on open space. So traditional open space, and we go, the theme of this open space is how do we become more effective as a tribe? And we divided it up into two 1-hour slots with 3 different rooms and said, go. And if you know anything about open space, they always say, be prepared to be surprised. And that's what happens every time. I'm always surprised at what topics come up, and even more surprised with the action items that they come out with. So right now we're doing it once a month. Well, we're staggering the open space with the guild meeting. So every 2 weeks there's one or the other of them. But I think I'd much rather do one every week. Yeah, so then every 2 weeks we're doing, we'll do the open space retrospect and then the guild meeting. But it's a great question. And I've got, I don't have answers. I have a lot of suggestions and more questions. Yeah, I have some answers, but I like answering with questions like, well, how would you do it? Because there's no, just because I'm doing it this way doesn't make it the right way, right? Yeah. Yes, yes, that's a really good point. It's about, and that's really what FAST is about. It's about experimentation. So FAST is extremely lightweight with the hope that you experiment more. So Woody Zull, the inventor of more programming, he says, well, if you're not experimenting on your agile process, you're not really being agile, right? So we understand experimentation on our products, right? We're getting really good at that, like lean startup and getting these principles out there. But how much experimentation? Scrum hasn't changed for 20 years. Well, it has, but very minor, like tweaks. But how much experimentation are we doing on our own processes? And that's why I throw it back. Well, how would you do it? Because I'm kind of hoping you say something. I'm like, brilliant. I'm going to try that. I've never thought of that. And that's where we want to get to. And by creating a self-organizing tribe, you're continually asking them to come up with owning their process. Like, hey, this is your process now. How are you going to improve it? Or I'm seeing this problem. Go fix it, right? So very much moving away from command and control as much as possible, and as an agile coach, stepping back and saying, here's an issue, here's an idea. What other ideas do you have? So I'm never going to impose my ideas on them, on the tribe. In fact, they do a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have done that way, but I want them to own the process. That's more important than me going, oh, I get to do things my way. So we got everyone back. Hold any more questions, because maybe they'll get answered. So these images come from a book called Team of Teams by General Crystal McCarthy. I'll talk a bit more about that book and the relevance of it to Fast Agile. But these images come from there. And this is what he calls it like a command and control style. This is what command and control looks like, right? This is the military traditional hierarchy. Very compatible with waterfall too, right? So then we went from waterfall, and then we discovered Agile. And Agile, all of the Agile methods all talk about working in small teams. So then we have, this represents small teams, the red team, the blue team, the purple team. So they might be functional teams, or they might be component teams, but they're small teams. So Scrum, it might be Kanban even, this might be the Crystal method, who knows? But these are all functional teams. So here's someone in command of some teams. And this is what we see today in Agile. And here's the next evolution, I think, in the Agile space, is let's break those teams up and make them into a team of teams. And so those 4 teams, we put them all together. You're now a tribe, and you got to experience what it's like being part of a tribe. And so you're still working in teams, but the teams form organically and dynamically. So we dynamically form teams. And that's the real key differentiator, I guess, and the experiment that we're running. So Fast Agile it's very bleeding edge, disruptive. We're trying something new.
Have you tried it in combination with more traditional Agile?
Traditional, yeah, isn't it funny? Yeah.
But they more Scrum things and then working alongside with this kind of interactive.
Yes. Yeah, I'll talk a bit more about that when I get to Primera. So the question was, have we worked the network work alongside with Scrum-based teams? And we work with some waterfall as well. Yeah, so this is the book. There's where the image kind of comes from. So General Stanley McChrystal, his story is, he was deployed, he's part of the US Navy, I think. He was deployed to Afghanistan. And he found that what he understood of warfare and warfare tactics wasn't helping him, they're like, we're going to lose this war. Not that they've won it yet, but we're going to lose this war unless we do something different. So we're really good at, hey, give us this objective and we can go and achieve that objective. So they can kind of do that. But their enemy was a new type of enemy, or a new type of enemy situation. It's maybe not a good word, but hostile situation. So the hostile situation is they're now facing a complex environment where there's no centralized control. So they didn't know what to do with that, because there's this thing happening here, this thing happening here, this thing happening here, and they're not related to each other. So there's no central intelligence point. There's no, hey, if we take out this, then we put an end to all of that. It didn't look like that. And he had his problems with the Navy SEALs didn't get on with the Green Berets, right? Because they're all fighting each other. So the siloing, so each of the teams were extremely efficient and effective at what they could do, but they were still not able to get done what they needed to. So we needed something much more flexible. So he came up with this. He goes, why don't we need to be far more reactive. And so there's a big room where something comes up. We go, all right, there's a hostage situation over in something, blah, blah, blah. And someone will say, I've got it. And they'll go and they'll pull in whoever they need from any of these other special forces, and they'll go and address this situation. And they're empowered to make whatever decisions they need to do. They don't have to go back and communicate up to the general. So he decentralized control. And in decentralizing control, he's now mimicking the very threat that he was trying to fight. And working in this way, he was now able to be effective. And what was challenging for him was he had to let go of control. And spending all those years in the military as a general, stamping out orders, he goes, I had to, his exact words were, I had to go move from being command and control into a gardener. So where that was his analogy of treating people like they're a garden. So he's creating a culture of sharing and sharing resources and people helping each other. So I've only got a couple slides. Let's power through these and then we'll get through the questions. Conway's Law. Anyone know Conway's Law? We've got one developer. So Conway's Law is that your, Conway's Law. That your organizational structure will follow your software architecture will follow your organizational structure. Let's power through this one really quickly because good code should be highly cohesive and loosely coupled, right? You're familiar with that, right? So, and so fast agile looks like what? Highly cohesive groups where we've got shared consciousness, shared understanding. So this is where the product owner is like setting the direction. Each of the team is like focused. So we've got shared understanding. So they're highly cohesive groups that are loosely coupled because every 2 days we reassess and come back together. So by working in this way, your software starts looking this way too, in theory. I haven't done it long enough to really kind of assess. Yeah. Oh yeah, cool. So we spoke about complex adaptive systems and simple rules. So when I was thinking about scaling Agile, so a lot of the scaling Agile, like a lot of it didn't sit right with me. So as an Agile coach, I was always working at the team level. Like could work with the Scrum team. I was great at like kicking off new Scrum teams, working at that team level. Very comfortable with that. But the enterprise side, the scaling side, I kind of always kind of steered clear of until I came up with this idea of using fast. And I was thinking, how does nature organize at scale? So this is how nature organizes at scale. This is kind of what it looks like. This is, anyone recognize this? This is starlings. They call it murmuration in English. Murmurado. I'm going to guess. Is that a word? No. Tornado? Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is fish, kind of doing the same thing. A shark comes in here to try and get the fish. It can't get the fish because they just like separate. And the same thing here, where like the falcon comes in to try and get a bird. They just move out of the way. This yeah, that should have been a video. The video is broken, but that's okay. That was the murmuration that we saw before, so you can kind of watch how that moves. But to create a complex adaptive system is actually, it's usually based off simple rules. So these are the simple rules of the flocking behavior of those starlings. So there's 3 rules. So avoid crowding your neighbors, steer towards the average heading of your neighbors, and steer towards the average position of your neighbors. That's it. So I'm a bird. and all I have to do is follow those 3 simple rules. And this is what creates that complex, well, from the outside, looks like a very complex system. The simple rules can create a complex adaptive system. So I started thinking about what are the simple rules for fast. And these are the rules we've got, is do the right thing. Yeah, these 2 books talk about the simple rules and their relationship to complexity. Do the right thing, be a team player, be a coach and be coachable, and strive for excellence in your craft. So they're the simple rules. This one here, be a coach and be coachable, that comes from my background in extreme programming, where we did pair programming. And when you learn how to do pair programming, you learn to be humble pretty quick. because you learn that you don't know everything. And even as good as you are, you always find other developers that are better than you. And so it's refreshing to find those. So at first it's uncomfortable, but like once you let go of your ego and say, hey, I don't know, can you show me? Then it becomes very refreshing. And working in this way made me a better person. It made me a better developer. And this is what helps you become a T-shaped person a lot quicker. And this is what will help the tribe gel together and move together quicker. So what happens if I'm a UX expert, right? I came and joined this tribe because I know a lot about UX. And these stories go up, and there's nothing here to do with UX. Oh, what am I going to do? Well, I'll say, hey, we'll go. What's your generality? Do you want to learn about front end stuff? Why don't you learn about HTML or something? To go sit on one of the other teams and learn something new. And then by learning something new, then you can start adding value in that area and in other areas. So we start becoming more T-shaped, more rounded out. This one here is really important too, because becoming excellent in your craft means that you're able to give more to the tribe, and the tribe gets to move faster. So all of this helps the tribe move faster over time. And this just means that you're not leaving things behind. Hey, that boring thing, just go do it. Yeah. Yeah. So being a team player, well, the tribe is your team. Yeah. So I live in America now. I'm Australian. I lived in Britain. Now I live in America. So being a team player, so I get to watch American football. Everyone watch American football? I can't bear it. I watch American football, and this team comes out, and then they go, and stop, and then they go, and then they stop. I'm like, what are they doing? Anyway, so then the bell goes off, and the team runs off. The next thing, another team, the same jersey runs. I'm like, who are they? I'm like, oh, they're the defense team. I'm like, you got two teams, right? When do they actually start running? Right? So like, what does it mean to be a team player, right? When you're part of that, you're part of a larger tribe. So if you're part of Real Madrid, your team is a lot smaller, but this is American football, you're part of a larger tribe. I don't know what that relevance has, but so treat people like adults and they'll act like them. So this image here is of kids. How many of you have kids? Right? Why is it that we trust each other? Like your boss doesn't say, "Hey, is your kid safe? Did you get them to school on time? Right? Are they eating okay?" We trust each other in day-to-day life, and you get everything done that you need to do. What about the boring stuff with your kid? Most of it's pretty boring. But do you get it done? Absolutely. Why do you get it done? Because it's the right thing to do. So taking that kind of level of ownership within our organizations is what we're looking for. And if you look at, everyone know this book, right, by Daniel Pink? Yeah, this comes from this book. This is the secret to high performance and satisfaction. That we need to direct our own lives, learn to create new things, and to do better by ourselves. This is why we go to work. If we can have this, then this brings out the best of us. So this is what Fast Agile is looking to do, is to create a sense of autonomy. So it's like, hey, what do you want to do? Go do whatever you think you want to do. So you've got no boss telling you, hey, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. You're in a tribe that self-organizes, so you have complete autonomy. Well, not complete, but you get the idea, right? We've given you a sense of purpose. Hey, we need to deliver this thing. It's really important. We've got customers waiting for it. Here's what the customers are looking for. And And mastery, we want you to be a master of your art. How can I support you to get better at what you want to do? Do you want to go to an art class? Do you want to do a UX class? Should we get some training in on good OO coding patterns? So we spend a lot of time in FAST. How do we build Slack into the system on how do we help people achieve mastery? So in software development, we call it software craftsmanship. How do we help people become craftsmen? Donate information, yeah. So this girl here, Heidi Helfand, she wrote a book on this, and this is kind of breaking the taboo, right? Because we always say keep the team together, but Heidi's found there are conditions when it makes sense for you to move people around, and so in FAST we're having teams. Well, it's kind of the opposite of Scrum. But teams form around work versus teams pulling work in. So it goes against a lot of the traditional things, but we do know that it does work and can work. Sorry. Micro iterations. So we talked about 2-day iterations, and if you look at the Scrum. The Agile Manifesto. These are two of the principles that I think relate closely with as well as talking to before, the preference of the shorter time scale. So working with these 2-day iterations has really kind of helped us be more agile in a way. So in summary, all work is just in time. So it's just enough just in time. It's designed to limit work in progress. So here we said there's 5. So basically you got to look at the size of your tribe and go, what's a sensible WIP limit? Micro iterations to deliver value in shorter feedback cycles. So if you've gone down the wrong path, you've only gone down the wrong path by 2 days, right? Product director's like, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. It's pretty good what you've done, but it's not what I want. Let's bring that back. It allows for emergent design and emergent architecture. So working in this way, these two teams, they say, hey, we're gonna bump into each other in this iteration. We're gonna be working in the same code base. So we have a dependency on each other, or we've created a dependency issue. So what do you do? So team 3 says, well, before we start any work, let's go over and talk to team 2. Hey, team 2, we're in the same code base. We're going to bump into each other. What are you guys thinking of doing? Well, we're about to do blah, blah, blah. Like, all right, let's draw that out on the whiteboard here. We draw it all out. So if we do this, you do that, then that should be cool. Yeah, that's cool. So this is how the design of the code emerges. So everything kind of happens organically, dynamically. If two teams are totally reliant on each other, like, hey, we can't do this until that happens, we'll say, well, let's take this off the board then and do something else. Let's just put it back on there and do something else. So that's how we handle dependencies. So dependency management becomes very easy and organic, because there's always enough work on the board to just say, well, go work on something else then. A cross-functional tribe can meet any demand. And the more cross-functional the tribe is, the easier that we can do that. Intrinsic motivation is the driving force and the only way that work gets done. You're encouraged to be specializing generalist and code crafter. Fast is scalable, so it works at the small level and it can go up to 150. Why 150? So there's some research that's been done. It's called Dunbar's number. Some research has been done that after 150, it gets hard to manage. Well, people can't self-manage past 150. You have to start putting in more bureaucracy levels. And so we're trying to create a self-managing environment, self-organizing. If you can get to self-managing, that it starts pushing into that area. But at 150, you can do that without any hierarchy. Past 150, you need to start implementing some kind of commands, which introduces more bureaucracy. So I wanted to make FAST as lightweight as possible, right? Simple rules means there's only a few handful of rules. So that's the theoretical maximum size of a tribe. Anyone know Gore Tech? Did they create Gore? Yeah, the fabric. Yeah, like for camping. So it's breathable and waterproof. So Gore, anyone familiar with their business model? It's pretty exciting. They work with a network lattice structure. So it looks, I kind of discovered this after FAST. It looks exactly like FAST. So inside, and the maximum size of any organization inside Gore is 150. After that, they spin off another organization. So all their organizations can only be 150 people, and it's a total network structure inside it. So this number is based on some other research, and it's based on stuff that's already happening. Gore is just one example. There's a church somewhere too, a religion in North America. There's lots of religions in North America. But this one, they grow to, after they get to 150, they go and spawn another one. Like, that's it. That's the maximum size. And they said, after 150, things start falling apart. So they go, all right, we're going to go get our wagons and go over the hill. We're going to start the next one over there. So that's the 150. Self-organization is a core foundation and based around open space technology. So everything is based on self-organization. And that's the that's a summary of FAST. And my vision behind this, and this is kind of my personal life purpose right now too, is untethering the human spirit within the workplace. So I created FAST as a place that I would want to work. Like, that's the environment I want to work in, where I can come to work and go, hey, how can I be excellent in my craft? How can I help others be excellent? And how can we make this thing really happen? Let's do that. So this is the kind of reading that went into it. We referenced a lot of these. Anyone know Valve? The company Valve? Anyone played Portal? Gamer? Yeah. So Valve is the company that wrote Portal. And the whole Steam platform. Yeah, that's created by Valve. So they're based in Bellevue in Seattle. I got to do a tour of them. I think there's like 200 employees. There's no managers. So they only can work via self-organization. So you can download the handbook. This is the handbook for new employees. Look for that one and read that. And so a lot of you can see a lot of fast agile in there. So they're not doing fast agile, but there's a lot of, to be able to work in this environment is very similar to be able to work in the fast environment. This company here, Doug Kirkpatrick, worked with the tomato company out of California called Morningstar. Morningstar is another company where there's no managers. So I'm not saying throw the managers out, but I'm saying the principles that you read in here will help you get a good understanding. Ricardo's similar. Brazilian, his company's just grown from strength to strength based on a lot of these principles too. If you're passionate about something, Ricardo goes, okay, go do it. And he encourages people to go do stuff. And in doing that, the company just keeps growing and growing and growing from strength to strength. I won't go into all of these, but yeah, this is kind of the reading that went into it. So that's, I think we'll leave it at that. For tonight, let's hit B. Yay. Question?
Yeah. What about teams helping each other in the meaning? Okay, maybe they have different value stories in which they are working with, and maybe one thing is really stuck and their story is really important.
Yeah.
Maybe the other team can say, okay, my story is not so important. So
yes,
we
yeah.
can go together. This kind of thing happen, or it's not.
I haven't seen that happen, but here's what I would suggest, right? If I'm over here and I'm getting stuck, but I know there's someone over there that I could really do to help me get unstuck, I'd go walk into that room and say, hey, Joe, can you come over and work on my team? I hate to ask because I know you volunteered to go here, but I'm really stuck and we can't get moving. So what's Joe going to say? He's going to do the right thing, right? He'll say, of course, I'll come over and help. I think.
Because the value stories have some kind of priority, or they are, I mean, there is one value story that is more important than other, or they all have the same.
Yeah, some do have more importance than others. And this guy, he knows that, hey, this one, we've got to get this done, right? This one's the highest priority of all of the stuff here. This one's got to get done, but I don't have the people I need. Can you come over and help? Yeah. That's an answer. There might be others. Yeah.
It's frequent that you find that you're assigned to one or other story, and when you start working, you find that there are too many people.
Too few people. Yeah. So what happens the question is, what happens when you got too many people, too few people? And these aren't stories, they're value items. So if you have too many people, there's a couple of things you could do. You can say, all right, we've got this, the scope of this thing is not that big. I think it'd probably take 4 people a day, but we've got 8 people. So how about we pull in another story and let's do 2 stories. Let's go grab something else from the board. So let's have 4 people here and 4 people with something else. So we could do it that way. Or we could say, hey, you other 4 people, you guys want to go work over here? Or, because there's not much to do here. They go, yeah, okay. So this is these are the rules of open space. And the one law of open space, it used to be called the law of 2 feet, but then now they call it the law of mobility. So go use your 2 feet, like go to somewhere else. And the law of mobility is, if you're not getting value from the session that you're in open space, then go to another session where you are going to get value. And that kind of follows the same here. Just go somewhere else. So if you got too many people, or get this done and then go work on the next one, or pull more work in, or just say, hey, I got too many people, go somewhere else. So there's 3 answers for too many people. Not enough people is to say, let's say this wasn't the most highest priority, right? So we didn't have to get this thing done. So I've got 2 people on it. I'm like, all right, there's only 2 of us. What can we get done in 2 days? Let's do that. And that's what we're going to do. Now, if there's something super important here that I know this is the highest priority, I'm going to need about 6 people to get it done. So during the marketplace, only 2 people sign up. Now, as the swarm steward, it's up to you to kind of say, hey, I need at least 6 devs to get this done. This is really important. And then we get to the end of marketplace and I've only got 2 devs. At that point, the swarm steward or the product director can go, hey, whoa. We need some more people on this one. Who can come help out? And then, oh great, we got some more names. Let's go do that.
For example, it's possible that to start, you see that you are not progressing enough. You put the story back to the backlog and you join some other.
Yeah, or that's the other thing too. You could say, what if only one person shows up, like the story steward, and you get no one else? You could say, I'll just put this back on the backlog and I'll go join someone else. So you're free to do that as well. So it's very organic and just do the right thing. It's like, well, what would the right thing look like? There's no one answer, but that might be what it looks like.
Is there one coach or someone that is the organic thing, organic?
Yeah. Yeah, that's me. So,
okay.
So we've got a tribe of 50 people, and there's one Agile coach right now. I don't know how scalable that is, but right now there's me, and my kind of role is to kind of keep some objectivity and some distance and watch the system from the outside. And this is what we have Agile coaches here and Scrum Masters, right? Because this is kind of what you're doing is in those roles is you're saying, how can I help the system get better? And if you're in the system, it looks very different from being out of the system, right? So I'm trying to stay on the periphery and watch it from the outside and going, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this, so that when we get to the retrospectives, I can say, hey, I'm seeing this. Why don't we try this? And people go, huh, all right, yeah, okay, let's try that. So that's the kind of that's a big part of my role there. The other one is once you create a self-organizing team, it takes on a bit of a culture of its own. So you become kind of like a culture coach as well, and you're trying to watch where the culture is going and help it stay in the right direction.
I want to start to implement this kind of methodology new approach. Next Monday in my organization, what are the things that I should keep in mind to do that?
Yeah. Can you say the question again?
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean,
yeah.
What I want to start to implement.
Oh, you want to do this Monday?
My organization.
Yeah.
What are the things I should keep in mind if I want to start to do that?
So you should pay me a lot of money to come over and consult. Yeah, option B, pays well a lot of money and coach you. So how you start? Yeah, we had a good conversation today about that because there's several ways to start. I mean, how do you start an Agile transformation? Right? It's like, if you know that magic sauce, and everyone says they have the magic sauce, but how magic, it always, when you hit the ground, it always looks different. Then you go, oh, the plan doesn't look like it says it's supposed to work this way in this book, right? It doesn't work that way. So, but yeah, to start fast, you need to, you need to spend some time on training, understanding it. But it also needs to be compatible with your organization. So it's not for everyone. It's not going to work everywhere. You need to be compatible with FAST, and FAST needs to be compatible with you.
How do you do it, for example, at Primera?
At Primera, yeah.
They come to you and say, I want to do something like this. They write FAST.
Yeah, they paid me a whole bunch of money to come in. No, I wish. I actually work for Primera as a full-time employee, and I did that because as an external Agile coach, like as a consultant, I kind of got frustrated with. There's certain things you can do as an external consultant. Like you can say, yeah, I think we should do that. People go, oh, okay, we should do that. We're paying him a lot of money. It must be true, right? But then there's some things I couldn't do. And so I wanted to see how much change I could do in a large organization from the inside. So I took a job inside the company as a full-time employee. And it's funny because you go, I think we should do this. No, we shouldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, but if I was a consultant, you'd say, yeah, absolutely. So you guys have seen that. But so I am working from inside the company. And how it started, I didn't go there to do FAST or implement FAST. But it started with, we started building a team, and we said, we're going to build this team right from the beginning. So we're going to build it on code craftsmanship, so a lot of extreme programming. And we got to handpick our developers and pull them in. So at a minimum, they were already pair programming. And the team grew larger and larger. And what happened was the team were given another, well, the director that we report to was given another product. And so we started recruiting to say, all right, we've got more work coming in. Now the team grew to a size where like it's big enough and we need to work on 2 products. So what do? The natural, well, in Scrum, you go, all right, we'll pull off 2 Scrum teams and have 2 backlogs, and split these teams apart. So there was no relationship between the two products, so we could have easily done that. But the team wanted to stay together because they'd already been working together for a while. Because the question was, well, who goes in which team? And one product was a lot sexier than the other one too, right? So everyone wants to work on this one. This one's not so much fun anymore. So how do we do that? And the team wanted to stay together. And so we said, well, maybe there's a way that we can stay together and work on two products. And so that was the beginning of FAST. We said, oh, we'll do this thing where we have a marketplace, and in the marketplace we'll have two backlogs, and you can sign up for work. So this way you can work on both products. You can move between both products and gain efficiency and proficiency in both. And I said, you guys game for an experiment? They're like, yeah, well, let's try it, because if this works, that means we can stay together. My director said, okay, give it a go. You got a couple months, and like, if this doesn't work, we can go back to traditional Scrum. We've got loads of experience within the company to do that. That's easy, but let's try something new. So we were given that chance to do that, and we started doing FAST. That was the reason that we started doing it. It kind of grew from there. So that was the magic sauce that happened at Primera. The roles? Yeah, that's a good question. So there is no, I don't know if there's an Agile coach role, but other than you need someone that knows how to do it, to kind of kick it off. But the roles are, if you're in the tribe, your title is developer, and that's the same as Scrum. So if you're in a Scrum team, it doesn't matter if you're a UX person or analyst, your role is developer. So there's a developer, there's the product director, which is the product owner, analogy from Scrum. And essentially that's kind of it. There's a third one called a resource, and a resource is someone that sits on the periphery of the tribe. So you're not required day to day, but we're going to pull you in as and when we kind of need you. And so that person becomes a resource. And I don't like that name. I've got to try to think of something different, but essentially they're the three roles. Does that answer your question?
So maybe the first step, because I don't speak to go to an organization that maybe don't even work in teams. Say, okay, we are going to go for FAST and we are going to self-organize. So maybe Agile would be like the middle step and work.
The first step, yeah.
And then, okay, now let's evolve and go.
That's a good question. So if a company hasn't been doing Agile at all, could you go straight to Fast Agile? Because you can use Fast in place of Scrum. Correct, but yeah.
I'm waiting for my boss to tell me what to do.
Yeah. So, and this is what you've described, exactly what you're going to find if you go to this model, because this is a very different working model, where if you're used to your boss telling you what to do, now all of a sudden you come to work and they go, what are you going to do today? I don't know. So you're right, it's got to be compatible with, you're going to have to do some kind of assessment. Hey, is this the right thing for us to do? And there's a book called Frederick Lau, Reinventing Organizations. And what's the subtitle is Organizations Moving into the New Consciousness, something like that. And this is what essentially where Fast Agile is looking for organizations that are ready to move into this next layer of consciousness, this next way of working. And I think we are, the world is changing. It's becoming more disruptive. So the way that we work needs to change as well. So there's cutting edge companies that are used to disruption, but most companies still aren't, right? So you always got the leading edge. So maybe Fast is more compatible with these companies that we're totally comfortable with disruption, and we already do a lot of self-organization. So we mentioned we mentioned Valve, and so Valve could move to fast agile very easily because they're already self-organized, right? Red Hat already self-organized. Spotify could move to fast very easily, right? Because a lot of the same concepts are there. So it's just bringing them up to one level more. So you're right. So maybe it's not right for when you're down here. You might want to do something else first. But let me know if you try it. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you handle when there is type of backlog refinement or something?
Yeah. So the question: how do you handle backlog refinement and so forth? So it says two answers. So one answer would be, which the first answer, I haven't done it this way, but could be how it works, is the product director, that when he's saying, he's setting, here's what I need. And by the way, I really need a couple of, I need like 4 or 5 people to help me understand this new feature that's come in. So I'm putting that in the backlog.
Would it be like one story?
Yeah, maybe that's just that becomes one of the slots. So maybe that could be how it happens. What's happening right now at Primera is we're working on 2-day iterations, and so when we moved from 1 week back to 2 days, the question was, well, do you want to do Monday, Tuesday is an iteration, then Wednesday, Thursday, and then you start the next one on Friday, and then Friday, Monday, right? So just keep going. And what they wanted to do though was to have a 2-day iteration and then a blank day and then a 2-day iteration. And I'm like, what are you going to do with the blank day? And they said, well, let's move all of the meetings into there. So then that will free us up to stay focused for the iteration work, so we don't get interrupted. Because do devs love meetings? Right? Meeting, I want to write code, right? So they want to stay heads down and code. So that's what we're doing at Primera. So we moved all the meetings to the middle. So, and that includes grooming. So that's when we do grooming at Primera. I don't particularly like that model, but that's what they wanted to do. And this is what happens when you create a self-organizing team. You try and give them as much autonomy as possible, which means, hey, how do you guys want to do it? And they'll do things that you may not necessarily like, but that's what happens with self-organization. But it's working for them, so it's like, hey, let's run with it.
How the stakeholders
interact? Yeah. So the question is, where do stakeholders fit, and is there a change as compared to Scrum, I guess? So no, there's no change. As the product director is usually, or a product owner is usually a proxy onto someone else, right? So the real stakeholders. So as a new feature comes in, I'm like, if I'm product director, hey, this new feature has come in. Can we get someone? Can I get a feature steward, so someone to stay with it, and let's spend some time understanding it. So I've got the stakeholders coming in. They're gonna let's pick their brains and start understanding this feature. So when you take on a new feature, first thing is we start breaking it down to get an understanding, and we do that with the product director and any stakeholders that they bring in. And so sometimes it's an analyst, sometimes it's an external company or an internal customer or something. But that's how, so we immediately know who the stakeholders are, and we try and keep in sync with them as much as possible. So if there's a major, hey, we got this major thing completed, then I might put a story in the thing, do a demo to the stakeholders, and we'll say, yeah, I've lined it up. Stakeholders are going to come over. We're going to do a demonstration to them, get their feedback. No, so it's organic. Like, yeah, to say.
When do you feel that it's the right
Exactly, yeah. You're like, hey, this is an exciting, well, the product director is helping too. So every 2 days, he's seeing what's happening. And he's like, that's really cool. Have the stakeholders seen that yet? And he goes, no, I haven't seen that yet. Great, let's line that up. I'll put that on the backlog. I'll go talk to him today. Let's line that up for Wednesday. Would that guy work? Yeah, great. Okay. It's kind of got that feel to it. Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes, so yeah, the product owner, the product director could be going, hey, that looks good. I'm going to show it. But also, and we're talking about this in Scrum now too, like the product ownership, it needs to move down to the team. The team needs to start owning that product and to start, not gold plating. The team needs to start going, yeah, this is ready for demo. The team needs to start going, yeah, this is ready for early release. This is where ownership needs to kind of start moving down. But it's a skill too, and that's why you have a product director still. Keep that moving. Thank you, guys. I've got actually let me skip forward to this side where you can find out more. Here we go. Yeah, Facebook, Twitter. This is my personal account. And this one is just to do with Fast Agile. And Joao, you know where to find Joao? Yeah. So Joao and I are going to write a book together. He doesn't. He just found out. Great. Thank you, guys. I've got some cards here if you want to post some questions. Thank you.